What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eickman. Together, we're about to embark on an inspiring journey. Our community thrives on the wisdom of insightful leaders that are right here in our backyard. And we're bringing their expertise to your ears. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your guide. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence.
What's up, Homegrown Hustle? I'm here with Annette and Brad Hall, the founders and owners of Bridal Aisle Boutique in Osseo. They've been in business for almost 15 years now. I'm super excited about this because the industry of weddings is just really unique to me as far as the purchasing cycle, quite a few other things. So before we dive into all that, why don't you introduce yourself, Annette and Brad, and kind of talk a little bit about how you got to opening the Bridal Aisle Boutique and kind of a little bit of that origination story, if you will.
Sure. So I've always wanted to own, be an entrepreneur and own a business. I owned a small children's consignment store in Rochester, Minnesota in my previous marriage. You know, after being a single parent for 12 years, Brad and I met online. And when we decided to get married, I had decided I wanted to open up a wedding business. I mean, in the process of planning the wedding, gave me the opportunity to do that. And then I was given advice by a wise woman that he worked with, who said, don't do both at the same time. Don't plan your business and plan your wedding at the same time. So I did wait. So we got married in 2012, and then we opened our business in 2013 at the end of the year.
Did I just hear that like the origination was like you went from consignment background as you were getting married, you kind of started the business through that?
Well, through planning the wedding. So like
you saw the opportunity at that point?
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like what specifically you saw? Like, was it the fact that you could source them and you knew that part of it, or what exactly was going on in your mind at that point?
I guess just the whole, weddings are exciting, and, shopping.
I love weddings. They're like,
especially
every
when you're not
part, like
one.
The good parts, the crazy parts, the super drunk groomsmen, like all that stuff. It's beautiful. And then, okay, so you saw it, and then were you on board with this from Jump Street, Brad? Or
yeah, I think we determined that there was a need for this type of business up in the north part of the cities. There really wasn't an off the rack bridal shop up in our area, and we noticed that in the planning of the wedding and saw an opportunity. So
you see this opportunity.
Yeah.
Somebody awesome tells you don't do this right now. Like, hold on for a little bit. Let's tie the knot first.
I had to shift my mindset big time as well, because I have my corporate job. I have my computer, my desk at work, a lot of structure, know what's coming in. So it was a big leap for me.
She comes from the entrepreneur background, and you're the opposite.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Very interesting dynamic. But you two seem to both work really well together, right? And how big is your team now? 13 years in?
22
employees.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is, yeah. Six or seven of them are seasonal. I have gals who have been with me through church and school and all different areas that I brought them in. They've stayed with me. So they go away to college, they come back, they work for me, that kind of thing.
So I might already know the answer to this. So like, what was the biggest challenge that you had starting Bridal Aisle?
I guess for me, well, for both of us, but I needed to know that I needed to make it work. Mm-hmm. This was going to work. I did not want to go back to work for someone else. This was going to work. And, we started out with a very small amount of money from an investor, and we were very frugal. And I worked it myself for a good year and a half before we hired someone. And so I think the tough part was just doing it all. I mean, it was 7 days a week, and all the paperwork and everything that you do everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And really where to allocate marketing dollars early on. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, like she said, she was the only person working in our store for the first year and a half or 2 years. She did everything.
What were you doing? You weren't helping at that point?
I would come in and help on weekends, whether it's putting dresses away, answering the door, answering the phone, working I still do work all of our wedding fairs. When there's a bridal showcase in Plymouth, load up the truck with some mannequins, promotional material, be there for 3 or 4 hours, and then load it back up and bring it to the store. So
the marketing for this industry is one of the things that like is the most interesting to me. The other thing about your business that's even more interesting is you're taking like the opposite approach to like what Mr. Wonderful would say on Shark Tank, where like this is the opportunity to drive the price up as far as you can and just increase the margin. And you're taking like the contrarian approach to that, which is awesome. But how do you market to that?
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, I constantly am trying to make people understand that we have a really good deal, but I don't want to cheapen the business because the dress they're getting, it has a very high value. And we are doing the best we can to keep that price low and to obviously do our business correctly. I want to make sure we're staying within that parameter that we are obviously making money too. So
that is the whole goal of business,
exactly.
Right? And everyone should remember that if you're not making money, you're actually just running a charity.
Exactly.
And that's a cool concept, but that's not what we're doing here. Right. But what you're doing is you're creating the opportunity to still have that amazing experience. It's just the path to getting there is kind of different. So I would assume that there's a level of education to the customer around, hey, this is a different process. Rather than having to wait a period of time after coming in, you can walk away with it.
Right. When we're at wedding fairs, that's a place where we get to see first time faces. Like when we talk about our business, it's, because these people are just starting to plan their wedding. And if they haven't ever had sisters, brothers, friends, or anything get married, they have no idea what we're talking. They've never heard of us before or about us or about that concept. So that's kind of exciting actually, because then we do get to explain to them exactly how awesome we are.
So are they familiar with the process of purchasing a dress already at that point?
Yes, but traditional. Like where you contact the bridal shop, you go in and you have you order the dress and you'll see the dress 8 months later. When you order a bridal gown,
get married quickly.
No, no, unless for some reason the bridal shop wants to sell you that dress off the rack, which, sometimes some of them do for emergency situations, but you don't have a huge selection to choose from. So.
Okay. So let me take a step back. So the consignment, the children's consignment business that you had before, that it's kind of the same model right now, right?
Except for it's not consignment.
Yeah. So the source is a little different. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because
sure.
I mean, any other dudes listening to this probably don't understand that process. Or maybe I'm the only guy, but
that's fine. And you know what it is? It's actually a Midwest thing. We found that like the East Coast, West Coast are very familiar. Women or anybody are very familiar with off the rack. And it just means basically you're going into a store and you're taking it home with you that day. You take it off the rack and you take it home. For some reason, the Midwest thinks off the rack means consignment. That means it's been worn before. It's been off the rack. It's been worn and then it's being resold again. That is the concept that Midwest thinks. So we've had to try to restructure that. And so we've struggled with that because we want to call it off the rack because you do get to take it home with you that day. But when we call it off the rack, they think it's consignment. So we really push in our marketing, take home with you that day, take home with
like walk away with what you came in to buy, which is what a guy wants, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
A bride probably doesn't.
The bride does want to because they don't want that stress of waiting for the dress, especially after the volatility. Am I saying that right? Over the last 4 or 5 years, things have been like maybe we have some shipping issues, things like that. And so for us, they don't have to worry about that. Like, am I going to see
tangibility of
exactly?
It,
am I going to see my dress in 8 months when she said it's supposed to come in 8 months? I mean, that's a long time to wait after you have the excitement of getting your dress and then you can't touch it for 8 more months. And that's typical, but for ours, it's not. It's like they get to literally have it inside that bag, say yes to the dress, hold it up and walk home and put it in their closet. And then they get to go on to the next thing.
See, in my mind, that's how it like works already, but you're selling bridal gowns and then the men's and the mother portion of it,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty limited as far as who you're selling to. Like, how's the distribution as far as like your sales go for those different areas? Does the bridal gown kind of lead the front of the pack, and then everything just gets kind of bundled in with it?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. That's with intent, I assume?
Not necessarily, but I mean, more people are going to be looking for a wedding dress than a mother's dress. I mean, moms do all different things. So I think that's why. So our percentage is very high for wedding gowns. Mother's dresses, maybe like 30% of our business, and the tuxedos about the same. So they're about the same dollar amount for us per year. Moms can shop at, there's, different box stores out there that they can shop at as well. Mm-hmm. Some moms wear a short dress that's simple. Maybe mom doesn't wear the long formal dress, so we have the long formal dresses, and if there's only a small percentage of the moms that wear them, that's why we're only getting. Yeah,
because like the trends are the whole other part of it. Because I mean, this is like the most special day that like you don't plan on doing this a bunch of times, really. Right. So the repeat customer kind of goes out the door in theory. How do you like consistently feed that funnel? Because I'm thinking through the driving new business in, because it's a sales machine. So how do we do that within this really finite niche? But I asked this, and then like in my mind, you've completely differentiated yourself from everybody. So it's really just putting this new idea in front of them. Am I right?
It is. And referrals are huge for us. I mean, like if I'm going to be bringing in more people, it really needs to be referrals. It should be their friends, all of their friends when they get married, brothers and sisters, cousins, the aunts should be telling their kids, this should be very referral based, and that is high for us. Yeah. The other thing is networking. I'm one of the only bridal shops that networks out in the networking world in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And then Brad and I both really hit the bridal fairs. That's good too, because that's where they're in their planning stage. So we want to get in front of them. Hopefully that, our thing is we base how well a bridal show is for us. How many brides didn't have their dress today? Because we ask them right away, do you have your wedding gown? Because if they don't, then we're like, okay, hey, you should come in for a mom's or a tuxedo. And then that way we're just moving on to the next bride. So
if you had to say like order of decision making, where does the gown fall in the planning process for the brides you've spoken with over the years?
Timing?
One of the first things they get. Usually social media is within 24 hours. Their wedding gown is about 2 weeks after. That's statistically. And not a lot of decision making outside of who's going to be in the wedding in that period?
Potentially who, but the venue is also there's
the venue and the dress. Generally, those are going to be 1 and 2, and the decision making a couple has when they get engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And is the bride driving it for
a lot of the times? Yeah, I would say the venue would be pretty equal. I mean, but as far as that bride probably already knew exactly what kind of dress she wanted before she even got engaged. Typically most women are planning their wedding like in their head since they were 16, not all the time. This is just statistically, but yeah, I mean, sometimes we'll see a bride at 2 different wedding fairs. They 6 months later, they're back at the wedding fair again, then they just haven't made their decision yet. So there's definitely, exceptions to the rule, but. So what are they typically thinking about at that point? At what point? When they're coming to a bridal fair? Bridal fair, they're trying to get ideas. There's a lot. They're trying to coordinate so many aspects of their event, from the venue to the photographer. Do we have a videographer? Do we have a photo booth? Where are we going on our honeymoon? There's a lot of ducks you have to put in a row for this big day, and we certainly want to be one of them. Yeah, exactly. So it simplifies part of the process, because if you have to think about something for 8 months instead of like walking away with it, like I'm happier as a groom personally, because then you can move on to the other stuff. Exactly. If you don't get, I don't know, I'm just thinking like dominoes. If we don't get this one, like all this other stuff becomes
decisions that aren't made because I don't even have my dress.
I know. Well, and a lot of times the wedding, like the look of the wedding, the decor, the venue is based on the dress.
It's
I mean, that I
fascinating.
know. It's
Women are amazing.
pretty crazy. I mean, like they have this vision of, like an example, getting married on a dock on, Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah.
And then they end up in a barn out in Wisconsin. I mean, a nice barn. Them, their dress, that would be a totally different dress in most women's eyes. So they have to put this stuff in order. So usually the dress and the venue are simultaneous. And
the venue is all about availability.
Correct. And that usually is one of the reasons why it's one of the first things.
What's the seasons here? So
June, last weekend in June is the most common wedding weekend of the year. And then the third and fourth weekend in October. Yeah. Otherwise, everything else is just kind of
really October. In Minnesota, October has really surged in terms of the number of weddings that month. A lot of couples want to take advantage of the fall colors. And the more mild temperatures.
We got married mid-September, and that's exactly the thought. Is it similar across the nation as far as?
I think the May-June is popular everywhere. I think that's pretty popular. I don't know if everywhere October, September is. Minnesota is just kind of known for that, I think.
Yeah, outdoor weddings in the summer, that scares me.
Yeah.
Like my brother's wedding, the hottest wedding of all time. It was the hottest I've ever been in my life, I feel like. All right. So like what to the bride, if you're speaking to somebody who's about to get engaged in a couple of days, like what's the value to the bride of them being able to walk away? I
want them to have the experience.
Let me say it again. So when they can come in to the store, pick the dress and walk away same day, like what does that allow them to do within the rest of the planning process? Check
it off their list. I mean, because they're looking at a checklist. No matter how that is done, it's a checklist. So marking that off, and then just having less stress, taking that fear out.
Much stress.
The weight.
This is the one thing you can't forget. Like, can't forget this one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and knowing that they got a good deal on a dress. That this is that you don't have to spend $4,000 on your dress. You can pay a fourth of that. Come to our store, allocate that money toward another aspect of your big day.
And one of your friends isn't going to have the same dress that you wore at your wedding.
Right.
That is correct. There's no other dress in that room that's competing with that wedding dress.
So it's special.
Yes.
That's what we're shooting for, right?
Unique.
So I think we know what makes Bridal Aisle different. We've talked about some of the differentiators, but in your own words, how would you say Bridal Aisle is different from other bridal boutiques? Is it a bridal boutique or bridal store? I feel like boutique's the right word.
Yeah. I mean, it is Bridal Aisle Boutique. And what sets us apart is definitely the take home, having the dresses. We have over 2,000 wedding gowns in the store that they can take home with them that day. And they come in and they have the full experience. They're spoiled by, a one-on-one consultant. And I guess just knowing that they're taken care of. I want them to walk out of there. Everyone should walk out with the exact same feeling when they walk out the door. And I think they do. Our reviews show that. And our staff just loves to spoil the brides. I mean, that they come in every day for that reason. I mean, like if a bride doesn't show up, they're really sad, because that is what they're there to do that day. And
could you talk a little bit about what the experience is for a bride when they come in?
Sure. They walk in the door and they're greeted by someone right away. And then they are given a slip that they have filled. They filled out online what they're looking for and what their budget is and where the wedding is and what their feel is. And then our consultant goes over that with them. So they sit down in an area and they kind of do a little consultation for 3 to 5 minutes. And then our consultant also gets to know their family, their entourage that they have with them, whether it just be their best friend, their mom, or they've got 5 people with them.
Okay.
You can have up to 12 with a VIP appointment with us. So sometimes they bring everybody. And then they bring them back into the shop and get them seated in their private area. And then they have one person, typically the bride, we say one person, usually it's the bride, goes out with our consultant to help pick out her gowns. Okay. So just kind of being spoiled.
How long does this process take? Like
hour
how many
and a half.
hours? That's slick.
I know. it works out perfect. And, it doesn't take any longer than that to pick out that dress. So why not just get in there, get it done, and then they get to go out for mimosas or lunch. So,
that's best case scenario. So I'm just asking more for me than for the podcast. Are the guys usually here in the room at that point or no?
Surprisingly, we've had a lot of guys come in, and some of them are fiancés, some of them are dads. So have you seen any change in like the buying behavior over the course of the 13 years, right? Mm-hmm. That you've had it open, like how the bride is purchasing? I do. Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Brad could probably even answer that because he hears it every night, but they're taking a lot more time to make a decision the last couple of years. So we'll have some brides will come in maybe more than one visit. They'll come in 2 or 3. They just can't make that decision in the time frame that they're in there, or we think they can. They look like they're in their dress and they've only picked one dress, but they just have to think about it more. And this is an industry-wide thing. It's not something just I have seen either. So just that decision making. Do you think that's the main thing?
Agreed. Yeah.
It seems backwards. I feel like the generation just keeps speeding up decision making, but are they just more thoughtful, or is it just options out there?
I don't know. I mean, just that decision making, like picking out a pair of shoes and you can't decide between 5 pair of shoes. I don't. I'm not sure what the rhyme or reason is for it, but and if it's, I hate to use the word fear, but we get that a lot from brides that, fear, I'm afraid, so I don't know if they think they can, if they'll find something better.
There's like pressure that's there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the men's portion of it now. So for that, what type of tux or suit, like rental or purchasing options do you have available?
So we have rental options. Over the years, we've had purchase. We are bringing a new line in the next couple of weeks on purchase. But it's typically rental right now. It makes it really easy for the groom because we hand a coupon out to the bride when she purchases her dress. She gets a full folder with information to move forward with her dress, alterations and mother's dresses and tuxedos. And so we hand this slip of paper to the bride that gives the groom theirs free if the rest of the wedding party buys. And then also, it's easy because she just needs to hand that to him. And then he just needs to make the phone call and the appointment and come in and we take care of him. And my girls love also to work with the grooms. They'll help them pick out the colors and, what tie you want and how that coordinates with that dress. And, they don't even have to think about anything except for whether or not they like it or not. Okay.
So how do you help the guys find their look, or is that not even part of the conversation? Because for me, my wife was like, this is what you get to wear.
And some brides definitely have given that direction. And so sometimes the bride comes in with and makes the decision and they get measured and everything. But sometimes the groom, or I would say most of the time the groom comes in and that's his responsibility is to get that set up. Maybe she said, let's do navy, I want navy suits, or I think that's what's going to coordinate with our colors. But there's like 5 different navy suits in our book too. Yeah. So now you get to choose, would you like this on the lapel? Do you want stitching? Do you want satin? And if you don't know what you want and you don't understand it, we help figure that out. Well,
how do you do that?
Maybe just asking them some questions, find out what the venue is. Find out, what are the girls wearing? Most of the time they know. Sometimes they have to text the bride for answers.
Makes sense.
Colors. Do you like plaid? Some guys are like, no, I don't want to do plaid. Okay, fine. Let's do paisley. This will look great with it. Maybe this is something that right now has been trendy. I think this will work perfect,
So do you have advice for guys on like coordinating that? Like, between the bride and groom, because it kind of has to like play off. So if you were giving advice to somebody out there thinking about it, what's your advice?
I would advise that they come in with a swatch or know the color of the bridesmaids' dresses, because that is what you're coordinating that whole look with.
So bride's dress, bridesmaids,
just bridesmaids, really,
and then color.
Yeah. The bridesmaids' dresses, we don't really care what they look like necessarily. It's really the color that we want to coordinate.
Okay.
And then the venue sometimes will help us lean towards something. Like if I am saying, okay, this suit looks kind of denim. I mean, do you want to wear that at the Minneapolis club? Maybe not. At a barn up in northern Minnesota, beautiful barn. Yes, I would say that would be great with that look. So if we're trying to decide between three things and I'm having to find a factor, then we start, asking more questions.
Yep. And we have a couple of large booklets. When you walk in you open them up, hundreds and hundreds of styles and color combinations that they can choose from. And from there, our stylists will just guide them along. What do you think about this? How do you think this looks? And if one stands out, then we have some try-ons in there that they can try on.
So what's the most common mistake you see guys make in that process?
I think like the actual most common mistake, I think, is maybe not or putting too much thought into it, like finding the place to go. And I mean, maybe not taking that slip that we gave the bride, because it really is easy. And now they've set it aside and now they're out there Googling, trying to find somewhere to go.
They're recreating the wheel. Like if it's tangibles right there.
Right.
Now the whole process gets simplified because you don't have to search again.
Exactly.
And the funniest thing would be you search again and find the same place. You just don't bring the coupon. Now you got to pay for your tux. Come on, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's free with us, right? If the bride bought the dress there. Plus, we do $40 off every groomsman too. So we do a pretty good job of taking care of our brides, and we want the attire. We want the moms and the tuxedos, and to help take care of that and relieve that stress from that planning. And if you had asked before what mistake guys make maybe in the design part of it, is maybe putting too much thought into it, because no one's going to really know if you've got a tie with, a stitch that's going sideways and a tie that's got like some,
I feel like that happens through the whole wedding planning process, doesn't it?
I know, I agree.
Because there's so much time, like overthinking is allowed.
Exactly. I have a line sometimes in speaking to couples that are engaged. When they seem a little indecisive, I ask them, I say, the last wedding you went to, I asked, what color were the bridesmaids' dresses?
Savage.
And then sometimes they have to, they look off to the side. They don't know. And I say, I also say, what'd you eat? And many times they don't remember. And I said, these are little details. I go, just, sometimes little things don't matter. Just have a nice day, be dressed nice, have a nice day. The little details, no one's going to remember. No one's going to remember the little things. They'll remember the big things, but not the little things.
Enjoy your friends.
Yeah. Enjoy your friends. Talk to everybody.
Which is great advice. And I would give the same advice out. So within your business, do you take a similar approach to decision-making and like not overthinking?
Yes.
Because I see that same thing play out with business owners when there isn't like a timeline that's there. They slow down decision making and they look for all these different ideas instead of just like making a decision and moving.
Right.
So for you, like, how do you handle it? Because you get to see that analysis paralysis play out more than most human beings, I feel like.
Yeah, we really do. Typically, we can tell when a bride is in her dress because there's a lot of body language. There's owners, like if they're touching it and they're twirling in it, we call that ownership. So we can just see the vibe of the bride when they're in their dress, and we know it. It's like, we just need to get you to understand that you're in your dress, without telling you buy that dress, Sometimes maybe the bride never finds her dress with us. We usually can tell that, but definitely that's part of what, we then try to lean them that direction. And a lot of times, we've built that trust enough with them that they're going to be asking us in the dressing room. So are we close? Can we take these two out of the room now? Or are we down to this one? So that's kind of how we do it.
But like when you're going about making decisions within your business, like you have to make a decision to purchase this, or like you opened up a second business, right?
Right. Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we opened in 2020, we opened up an outlet. We had purchased a bridal shop that was going under, and we were going to sell the wedding dresses throughout the United States to our relationships that we've been building. And we just decided, why not do that here in the Minneapolis area and give the brides an even better pricing. So all of those dresses are $600 and under. And we opened up that shop in 2020. So we hit the ground running, and that is constantly booked. So that one is, it's connected to Bridal Aisle Boutique. So my staff works both shops. So, and they get the same great service there too. So
we wanted to have an option for brides in the Twin City area that maybe they're not going to be able to afford, again, a dress for thousands of dollars. They can come to our store in Budget Bridal Outlet, where you can buy an awesome dress for $500.
Yeah, take the $3,500 and spend it on your honeymoon.
Right. Yeah. So decisions. So I made that decision.
Decisions.
Yes, I made that decision. I called up my landlord at the time, and I just said, you have a spot next to me, and do you think we can knock a wall out somewhere between our shop and that one? And he's awesome to work with, and they got it done for us while everybody was down in 2020. So decisions, for me, it's easy to make decisions like that with my business. I feel very comfortable, confident in making those decisions. So yeah,
we do a lot of work together. She's bouncing ideas off of me, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, most nights. So here's what I'm thinking about this. And then we're making the business decisions, all night long when it's your own business. Yeah. We're bouncing things off. Okay. I'll play devil's advocate. What about this? And,
so is there like a community of business owners within like the wedding scene?
Yeah. I mean,
What's that like? Is it?
It's Twin City Wedding and Event Professionals actually is the main one that we have, and their big gala is this evening. So
that's coincidental.
Yeah, at Mississippi Gardens. And so they are, it's a community that we can collaborate together. And this one, I mean, they can have 25 photographers in there, and these people worked so well together because this organization, and they're celebrating their 16th year tonight, Sweet 16. But we do get involved with communities like that for networking, and just, I mean, we talk to them at the wedding fairs, and, we're good friends with a lot of them. I was just thinking about one that he ran into last weekend, and yeah, we're great.
So how big is that organization?
I'm not sure exactly. There's three founders of that organization, and they're still there. They're still running it. And I would say probably 50, maybe 75. It's not as big as what they would like it to be.
Community though. So as a business owner in this really unique niche, having people, even if they're not doing gowns or anything like that, but within the same type of market, like you're talking to the same people, understanding the consumer, I think you can do that a lot better, because now you're getting more pieces of feedback. Any business owner is looking for community, or you just end up feeling like you're on an island all the time.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. No, we feel really good about
we've had new business owners, entrepreneurs walk up to us at wedding fairs, and they'll say, we want to see if are these worth it? You get a good return from these? And we say, yeah. And I find out that if you're new, do you have business cards with you? I will tell them, give me 24 business cards. We have a wall right by our front desk, and we'll put your cards in our store, because we know that we get the brides into our store fairly early on in the wedding planning process. So I want to be able to have that option and say, oh, are you looking for this? We have a whole networking wall right there.
What's the new thing? Like the little cart where people can buy, they can like make their own little bouquets of flowers.
Oh, yes.
Like there's always like a new thing in weddings, right? Each year. So that's like I would have to imagine like a new set of entrepreneurs coming into the space, rather than somebody who's already in the wedding space and they spin it off.
I think that's what's really neat about this Twin City Wedding and Event Professionals, because it's event, wedding and event. Okay. Is that those new people, like hopefully if they run into somebody like us, those new people get invited to that and they can just jump in. So
I wouldn't even know how to, this is a such a unique thing that like there's got to be some psychology. Is there research behind this, like around the analysis of the purchasing behavior within brides? I feel like that's an opportunity. If we can bring some numbers to the table and try to get the emotion out of the way somehow.
I know. I would love that. We should sit down and do that sometime.
I don't even know how you do.
Help me out. Yeah, it definitely changes. I mean, after being in business this many years now, and there's some things that are the same, but definitely the buying habits have changed.
Do you have any like favorite moments over the years of helping a bride find their dress?
Oh, I don't know. We've had a couple of really fun ones. I guess one of the main ones to me that was fun. Oh, I thought of a funny one too before, but I don't remember it right now. But the fun one is our very first sale. So we went to Metro North Chamber. We joined the chamber right away when we started our business, and we did their business fair at the North Town Mall. As our first, we actually went to a friend's house and borrowed his wife's dress because we didn't even have a wedding dress yet.
Put on a mannequin.
Yes, because we hadn't gotten our inventory yet. And we put it in a mannequin, made our booth, went there, and
we didn't even have a storefront at that point.
No, this gal came down the escalators, and she came walking right over to our booth, and she ended up booking an appointment, and she was our first bride. And Brad and I both helped. I mean, like he was in the store putting dresses away, and I was working with her, and she purchased her dress. And she's actually she's kind of a figure in Minneapolis too, in the like hip hop scene and stuff like that. But anyway, she actually came to our 10-year anniversary. We invited her back, and she put on some dresses, and we did a fashion show. But she was such a cool first bride, so that was a really good way to jump in.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Let me see. Any advice to somebody who's going to start a bridal aisle or a bridal boutique somewhere? It's a big industry to jump into.
It is advice. It's a very when people start a new bridal shop, especially in the cities, if I see that, I really worry about them. I worry about them starting it now because it's tough. It's really tough out there in the bridal industry, just for a lot of reasons. It's a tough industry. There's a lot of us in town that have been around for a long time, and that's I think why we're surviving, is because we've been around, and we also get along really well too. It's very finicky. You have to buy. You go to market. If you're not doing what I'm doing, you have to go to market every 6 months and spend $40,000 to $50,000 on wedding gowns for your inventory, for your samples. And then then you order from those samples. So it's kind of a different thing.
Scary.
Yeah.
So don't go into it. Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it necessarily.
but
we love what we do, but we started it different. We have grown. We have morphed into what we are in right now. And I just look at that person thinking, oh my goodness, how much time it would take you to get to where we are, all the things we've learned.
Yeah. But how does somebody get into this type of space then?
Well, originally we bought a book. He ordered a book online on how to start a bridal shop. I think it was called. And we read that, and we still went back to a few of those things. So, I would recommend for them to do their research and learn. And a young gal coming out of college, could be really exciting. And, they've got a lot of energy, and maybe they've got a whole different way of doing things. I would say start something new. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Yeah. Do something different.
And even what I did, I called a half dozen stores around the country that were doing what we're doing, not just a bridal shop, but an off-the-rack bridal shop. As long as they weren't in our area, I called one in Texas, one in Connecticut, one in Missouri, one in Arizona. And surprisingly, most of them would talk to me. I think one didn't talk to me, but I asked them just about advice. I told them we're in Minnesota. We're not a direct competitor to you. Do you have any advice for us? And I just listened. Because you learn when you listen. I got some great advice. And
you're going right to the subject matter experts there too. You don't have to interpret anything or guess. You're going to somebody who's done it or is doing it. And that type of advice is the most valuable. It's a good move. Do they teach you that over there in your corporate job? Or
No.
All right. So we're going to have to wrap it up here pretty soon. I got a couple more questions. First, we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire round. Got a couple questions here. And then we'll wrap it up. You guys can say anything else that you want, but I'm excited about this one because I think this might ruffle some feathers depending on how people sway one way or the other. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Lace or satin?
Satin's in right now.
Do you have opinions here?
Not on that one.
No. Ball gown or mermaid?
Ball gown's in.
Opinions, Brad? No. Okay.
None.
Veil or no? Just speak up if you got it. Veil or no veil?
50-50 out there.
Navy or black tux?
It's also 50-50. The black is coming back.
That's not an option. You have to.
Navy is the most popular.
Navy. Okay. Brown shoes or black shoes?
Brown.
The funniest fitting room moment. This is a good question.
One specific one that sticks out is the groom one, which is fun. He came walking out of the dressing room, so we hand them their tux when they come in on Friday. You have to try it on before you walk out the door. We need to make sure you look good for the bride. And he came walking out of there, and they were up to his knees. They were hemmed wrong. They were hemmed to his knees. It was pretty funny. And he
did he think that was the look?
We did take care of it for him.
That's good. What's one trend you're ready to say goodbye to?
Kind of done with the strapless.
Okay. What's one thing couples always stress about but shouldn't?
I think kind of what we mentioned before is just the whole picture, putting the wedding together and thinking about all those details and stressing over those details. It has to be perfect. And it does not have to be perfect. It just has to be done and set up. So I think they should just not stress.
Just make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say to the listeners? Like, I know your social media presence is pretty big. Like how to get a hold of you, where to find you, anything like that?
So Bridal Aisle Boutique.com is our website. And I would say, and Facebook is Bridal Aisle as well, Bridal Aisle MN. Those are great places to get a hold of us. Just calling us, it's really easy to book online. Our system is very, very easy, very user friendly. And if they want a VIP appointment, they do need to call us because they'll need to pay a little extra money. It's $100 for a VIP appointment. They get all kinds of goodies with that. They get a bigger area that's private. And then that $100 goes towards their dress when they buy it. So we don't keep our fees. We give it back to you if you buy a dress. If you don't, then we do keep it. But otherwise, yes.
That's good.
And I think just, be ready to, like I said, take that dress home with you today and you get a great deal and awesome service.
That's awesome. So one question we ask every guest that comes on is, what's the word hustle mean to you in terms of business?
Oh, boy. For me, it's just more, like getting more. Like hustle is to I don't know.
How about you,
Keep
Brad?
doing it and doing more.
Just perseverance. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, thank you both for joining us on the Homegrown Hustle. This is the first bridal episode we've had for sure. I think it's an incredibly unique industry and I learned a lot here today. I hope everybody listening or watching got at least one takeaway here. I'm sure you did, but whatever it is, go do it in your business. Don't wait around. And nobody's going to do it for you. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Share this episode just like you've been doing. Keep sending the questions in. We really appreciate it. Until next time, keep hustling.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Are you dealing with pest or wildlife issues on your property? Call us at 763-328-0156 or scan the QR code to learn more.
Thanks again for joining us on Homegrown Hustle. Our local business community thrives because of the brilliant leaders right here in our backyard. And it's been an absolute privilege to provide them with a platform to share their invaluable expertise. Stay tuned for more insight, wisdom, and inspiration from our local business champions. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Together, we'll continue to nurture and expand our homegrown success stories. Matt Eickman signing off until our next insightful episode.